Hello everyone, welcome to Wealth Accumulation channel. Today, we want to talk about the latest developments in China's property market. The nearest first-tier cities are Guangzhou and Shenzhen. Introduced the policy of recognizing the house, but not the loan. It has attracted widespread attention from domestic and foreign media and netizens. Many people think this is the Chinese government. In order to save the property market, the measures of restricting purchases and loans have been relaxed. The real estate market is expected to usher in a wave of rebound. But I think this view is very wrong and dangerous. Because China's property market has reached the brink of an irreversible collapse. No policy can save the situation. Will only accelerate the bursting of the bubble. First, let's take a look at the current situation of China's property market. According to the data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, the whole year of 2022, the sales area of commercial housing nationwide fell by 8.9% year-on-year. Sales fell 6.2% year-over-year. This shows that the Chinese property market has entered a clear downward cycle. Both demand and prices are shrinking. And this downward trend is not a short-term volatility. It is caused by long-term accumulated structural problems. China's real estate market has existed for many years. Severe overheating and foaming. Phenomenon leading to ridiculously high housing prices. Seriously out of touch with residents' income and purchasing power. According to the International Monetary Fund report issued by the IMF, in 2022, China's housing price-to-income ratio has reached 16.3 times. 4.3 times higher than that of the United States. Developed countries such as Japan 4.8 times and South Korea 9.1 times. This means an ordinary Chinese would take all of his 16.3 years of income to afford a house. And that's not even counting the interest on the down payment, taxes and other expenses. It can be said that China's housing prices, it is completely beyond the capacity of most people. So why are Chinese housing prices rising so high? The reason is simply the imbalance between supply and demand. Over the past 10 years, in order to stimulate economic growth, the Chinese government and stimulate consumption, vigorously promote real estate development and investment. According to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, from 2009 to 2022, the construction area of commercial housing in China has increased by 3.1 times. Reached 13.9 billion square meters. The completed area of commercial housing has increased by 2.9 times. Reached 9.6 billion square meters. The sales area of commercial housing has increased by 2.3 times. Reached 13 billion square meters. The sales of commercial housing increased by 6.7 times. Reached 203 trillion yuan. It can be said that during this period of time, China's real estate industry experienced an unprecedented period of prosperity. But behind this prosperity lurks enormous risks. Because China's real estate development and investment, not determined by market demand and supply, administrative intervention by the government, and financial leverage driven. In order to increase fiscal revenue and land transfer fees, the government continuous liberalization of land supply and approval of real estate projects. In order to expand credit scale and profit margins, banks easing mortgage terms and lowering interest rates. Developers to seize market share and improving return on capital. Continue to increase development efforts and increase housing prices. in order to maintain and increase value and speculate, residents constantly buying multiple houses and borrowing money to speculate. Thus, Chinese real estate market formed a vicious circle. House prices are rising higher and higher. The bubble blows bigger and bigger. But this vicious cycle, it can't last forever. Because the Chinese real estate market has seriously deviated from its essential function and provide residential services. Healthy development of the real estate market. It should be oriented towards the residential needs of the residents, based on the income level of the residents, supported by the consumption ability of residents. But in China, real estate market has become an investment and speculative tool, oriented by the government's administrative intervention, based on bank credit leverage, supported by the profit pursuit of developers. In this situation, the real estate market has lost its self-regulating mechanism, can only be maintained by external stimuli and intervention. Once external stimuli and interventions diminish or disappear, the real estate market will experience a serious crisis. And this is exactly what China is currently facing. Since last year, the Chinese government began to tighten regulatory policy on the real estate market. There are mainly the following aspects. One is to strengthen the control over land transfer, limited land supply and price. The second is to strengthen the supervision of bank credit. Mortgage amounts and interest rates are limited. The third is to strengthen the regulation of developer financing, restricted bond issuance and overseas listings. The fourth is to strengthen the restrictions on residents' purchase of houses. Measures such as restrictions on purchases, sales and prices have been implemented. Purpose of these policies, all in order to curb the rapid rise of housing prices, prevent financial risks, promote the stable and healthy development of the real estate market. But in practice, these policies had the opposite effect. Because in China's real estate market, when a huge bubble has formed, no regulatory policy can release bubbles smoothly, can only cause the bubble to burst. And once the bubble bursts, triggers a series of chain reactions, cause the entire economic system to collapse. Specifically, China's property market bubble bursts will have the following impacts. First, the impact on government revenue. According to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, in the fiscal revenue of the Chinese government in 2022, 19.2% came from land transfer fees. Land transfer fee, mainly from real estate developers. If the housing bubble bursts, the needs of real estate developers and ability to pay will be significantly reduced, shrinking the land market. The government's land transfer fee income will also be greatly reduced. For the Chinese government, was a huge hit. Because the Chinese government's fiscal expenditure, a large part, is used for infrastructure construction, social security, education, health and other areas of people's livelihood. If fiscal revenue shrinks sharply, the government will face rising fiscal deficit and debt risks. It may even lead to social unrest and public resentment. Second, the impact on the banking and financial system. According to data released by the People's Bank of China, by the end of 2022, Chinese banking financial institutions, the balance of loans to the real estate industry is 56.7 trillion yuan, 30.1% of total loan balance. Among them, the balance of personal housing loans was 39.2 trillion yuan, 20.8% of total loan balance. It can be said that China's banking financial institutions' credit to the real estate industry is very huge. And these loans are all secured by real estate. If the property market bubble bursts, house prices plummet, then these credits will become non-performing assets. Banks will face a decline in capital adequacy ratio, rising bad debt rate, tight liquidity, and other issues. Moreover, due to the fact that among Chinese banking financial institutions, there are intricate financial transactions and risk contagion mechanisms. Once a bank has a problem, systemic financial crisis. The third is the impact on developers and enterprises. According to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, in 2022, China's real estate development enterprises completed an investment of 17.6 trillion yuan, 15% year-on-year growth, accounting for 29.8% of the national fixed asset investment. It can be said that Chinese real estate development companies, one of the important driving forces of China's economic growth. But after the housing bubble burst, these companies will face shrinking market demand. Difficulties such as capital chain breaks, project shutdowns, debt defaults, etc. And as Chinese real estate development companies and other industries, there is a strong correlation and driving effect. E.g. construction, steel industry, cement industry, furniture industry, home appliance industry, etc. Once the real estate development company has problems, will drag down the entire real economy. Fourth, the impact on residents' consumption and investment. According to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, 2022, the per capita disposable income of Chinese urban residents is 39,007 yuan, and the same year, the per capita housing expenditure of Chinese urban residents is 11,403 yuan, 29.2% of disposable income. It can be said that the housing expenditure of Chinese urban residents already account for a large portion of their income, causing them to have no extra money to consume other goods and services. And in the context of rising housing prices in China, many residents real estate as an investment and value preservation tool keep buying multiple houses, lead to their funds locked in the real estate market cannot flow to other fields. If the property market bubble bursts, house prices plummet, then these residents will face shrinking wealth, loss of assets, heavy liabilities, etc. Their spending power and willingness to invest will drop significantly. In summary, China's property market bubble bursts. It will have a huge impact and damage to the Chinese economy, may even lead to a global economic crisis. However, Guangzhou and Shenzhen issued a policy of admitting defense and not admitting belts. Does not change this trend. Only make the bubble more inflated. Make the crisis worse. Because of this policy, actually encourages and induces more people are buying houses instead of renting, or live in public rental housing, etc. Thus, demand in the real estate market further blur, price further distorted, the bubble expands further. And this policy is also unfair to the residents, because he let those who already have a house, or those who can afford to buy a house, enjoy lower down payments and interest rates, and those who don't have a house, or can't afford to buy a house, no benefits and subsidies. Thus, it will exacerbate social disparity between rich and poor and discontent. So I suggest you don't be fooled by Guangzhou and Shenzhen's policy of recognizing houses, but not mortgages. Bewitched and tempted. Don't buy a house or flip a house, but to sell the property in hand as soon as possible. Cash out. Move to other safer and more promising fields. Okay, let's talk here for today. If you like my show, please like, share and subscribe. And click on the small bell to select all. You are also welcome to leave a message. This is Wealth Accumulation Channel. See you next time.